आइए. This is Rajesh Kumar Mohan. Please take a seat. बैठिए. So Rajesh, you are from Haryana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gurugram and Mewat, these are adjoining areas. Gurugram is the richest area of Haryana, Mewat is the poorest. Why this inequality? And why has Mewat not developed?
Yes, sir. This is on account of, first of all, our policy of growth centers, where we promote growth at one particular region, and in a way it results in that region developing at a faster pace. Second reason is more linkages with Delhi.
Proximity to Delhi, yeah. Okay.
And third aspect is that if we go cultural wise and other parameters, the socio-economic indicators of the region of Mewat are poorer compared to the Gurugram region. So because of that...
Why? What are the reasons?
Sir, in this, the reasons are both related to the failure of the state as well as the geographical factors, as well as the historical legacy that we had.
Say something more about the failure of the state and historical legacy. What do you mean by failure of the state? Is it because of prejudice against Mewat residents, Meos?
No, sir. I feel it is on account of generally the governance, because we are making schemes. So many schemes we are making, but we are not able to implement those schemes. So I was referring to that aspect. So multiple schemes, like for example, in the healthcare sector itself, we see in case of Mewat or Nu, which is presently called, the institutional delivery is only 35%.
Right.
So I feel the government should have implemented those schemes related to institutional deliveries better in the district.
But people in Mewat feel that because they are Muslims, therefore the poorer kind of staff is posted, staff absenteeism is very high, funds don't reach in time, doctors are not present. Are these allegations correct?
Sir, our country is a secular country, so the constitutional itself says that it is a secular country, and even preamble the word secular is there. So while treating the citizens, the state does not discriminate. However, at times what happens is that some subjective beliefs, they get interpreted as an objective reality of low socioeconomic status, resulting in mobilization on these lines.
Okay, two questions here. Number one, most of the people in Mewat are Meos, they are Ahmadiyas. Who had started this sect of Islam? Do you know who is the leader, who is the founder of this sect? What is his name?
Sir, I'm not able to recollect it. I will look into it. But if the sect is Ahmadiyas,
yeah.
So I guess if I can take a guess, there was a scholar by Ahmad by then.
What?
I'm unable to recollect it, but that person believed that he is the reincarnation of the Prophet Muhammad himself.
Ghulam Ahmad. He is from Qadian. So they are also called Qadianis. Yeah. That is why, because he believed in this, that's why in Pakistan they have been declared as non-Muslims. You said India is a secular country.
Yes.
When our constitution was made in 1950, did we say that we are secular?
Yes, sir. Our fundamental rights, in that it was ingrained that secularism was there. But in preamble it was not mentioned. But later on it was added to the preamble.
When was it added?
Sir, it was added in the by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment.
Which year?
1976.
Okay. Why did we not say secular in the beginning, 1950? Why did we not add that India is a secular country?
Sir, this is to do with the kind of secularism India has. So this is not the same as the Western model of secularism. So in Western model of secularism, there is a complete separation between the state and religion. However, we practice a different model where we focus on principled distance of the state from the religious communities, and we focus both on the equality of individuals as well as faiths. So because of these factors, we decided not to mention.
Yeah, because you write that state in India has the power to interfere in religious practices. And that is why, and because Western concept is that you cannot interfere in religious practices. And we had to interfere because untouchability could not have been eradicated if we had said that we will not interfere in religious practices. So
yes.
Therefore, that is why we had said, okay, right. Now, Haryana is also very state where gender indicators are not so good.
Yes.
Why? If you compare Haryana with, say, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, etc., what is the difference? Why are gender indicators so poor in Haryana?
Sir, this is on account of two factors, the economic factors and the socio-cultural factors.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we say the economic factors, the state of Haryana had been at the epicenter of Green Revolution. So, because of that, the manual labor was preferred economically by the families. Second is social and cultural factors. So, in that aspect, there are certain customs which favor male over female. In fact, there are certain very regressive practices like female feticide is there, female infanticide is there, and even if we look at the culture wise, like I have a bent of mind to listening to Raganis also. So in the culture also there are some prejudices also. For example, there is a saying that beti mera bhagwan ki aur beta mera nirbhag ka. So these have been ingrained in the culture. So these two factors are responsible for poor indicators.
No, but you are saying that male preference is stronger in Haryana. But I want to know why. Why is male preference stronger in Haryana and not so much in Odisha or Chhattisgarh or West Bengal?
Sir, because the economy wise, we focused on previously the manual labor. The importance of manual labor was very high in agriculture.
Okay.
So in that case, if you go physical standard wise, so males would be preferred in that aspect. So because of that we can say is the base of all these things, and other things like culture and all these things, they developed around it.
Also because Northwest India was invaded, so therefore women had to be protected throughout the medieval period. Yes. And then Haryana had less rainfall, so agriculture required hard labor, whereas Eastern India had more rainfall. And women could do paddy harvesting, paddy transplanting and sowing. So women were needed economically. That is also an important factor that we should mention. Okay, thank you.
You finished your MBBS in 2013.
Yes, ma'am.
But took up a job in 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing in between?
Ma'am, in the year 2014, I completed my internship. That is a compulsory. So for 1 year, till December 2014, I finished it. Then I applied for the UPSC CMS Combined Medical Services examination. And the next year, I got through the process of prelims and the interview process at UPSC. And the results, as the results and joining came, so by that time, 2016 was there.
And then you left your job again in 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, this was on account of the fact that my aim, my career choices I had made was towards civil services, for administrative services. So I took a calculated risk at that point of time. I had enough financial viability by that time so that I can sustain a preparation for civil services examination.
Why leave MBBS for? Why do you want to become an administrative servant? Why leave MBBS for services?
Ma'am, I see it as not leaving MBBS, but I see it as expansion of MBBS, because I feel the skills I acquired during MBBS would be put to use in administration.
Like what skills?
Ma'am, like recently during this first and second wave of pandemic, there have been examples of various administrators with medical background doing pretty well, and they were putting their knowledge of medicine in order to improve the quality of the civil services itself. Just like other streams, I think medical science skills would be enriching the civil services in that regard.
In that regard. Okay, suppose if you have to explain to someone about the changes in the rape laws after Nirbhaya case, what changes have been there?
Ma'am, after a recommendation of Verma committee, so first of all, the rape laws have been made more stringent. So now the minimum punishment has been increased. And second is that the definition of rape itself has been changed. Rather than...
What is the term which we use now?
Ma'am, sexual assault survivor. For the rape victim, we use the term sexual assault survivor in order to show the how courageous the female had been in going through this traumatic experience. At the same time, the other forms of sexual assaults, like previously it was only through reproductive organs only. So the definition of the rape has also been broadened post that. And also recently the Supreme Court judgment also came, which has changed that if previously if below 18 years a female is married to a person, then there was an exception that in that case the rape provisions would not apply. So that provision has been struck down by Honorable Supreme Court. Now any consent, because if a female is less than 18 years, she would not be in a position to give consent. So that would be considered as a rape.
What are your views on the Maternity Benefits Act under the provisional mechanism as the maternity leave has been extended? So what are your views on that? Is it a good step? Is it a step forward for women?
Ma'am, I feel that this act has been amended with a very noble intention to provide benefits to the females, especially during maternity phase. But it can have certain unintended consequences also, because already female labor force participation is very low. So in a way, this can discourage the employers to employ more females, because more duration of leave would be given to females. So that is a area of concern with regard to the act.
So what should the government do about it? If you were given the responsibility, what step would you take?
Ma'am, if I come with an opportunity to advise the policymakers, I would advise that the state should try to share the burden of employer, because there are cases in other countries also where the share of how much the cost the employer is incurring, it is shared with the state, and because there is a social objective involved in this process, so it's a responsibility of the state itself to fulfill that social objective. They should support the employers.
Okay. Now, what is more important for a person? Power, leisure, or income?
Ma'am, I feel work with leisure is more. So a person should be working and then getting the leisure. That is very important for a person.
Okay, last question. Why in India these days we see a lot of rise in culture of gurus, that people have started following gurus? More and more sects are emerging.
Yes, ma'am. There is an emergence of these sects. I feel it is on account of the fact that now rapid urbanization and social media penetration has left individuals more lonely. So they seek for guidance, predetermined set of rules to follow. So that loneliness is responsible for the rise of these sects.
What about mental illness, mental depression, stress levels? work pressure increasing?
Yes, ma'am. All these factors associated with loneliness, like stress is there. So much workload is there, and then the human-to-human interactions have reduced drastically. And even this during this pandemic, they have reduced to even more severely. So because of that, I feel the culture of sex is emerging in India.
Thank you.
Rajesh, continuing with what ma'am was talking to you, you said that some of the bureaucrats were doing good work during pandemic. They used their medical skills. But what if you are there in the Indian Police Service or Indian Revenue Service, Indian Defense Account Service? How your knowledge of medicine will help you out?
In case of medical sciences, there are certain direct skills and there are indirect skills also. The indirect skills are that when you are in medical sciences, you are the discoveries are happening every day. So you have to be open to new things. So I think that culture of being curious about new things, trying to learn them would help.
Rajesh, that can be done by anyone. A simple graduate also will have to learn those skills, administrative skills. If he's in the, he will have to learn new technologies. Masuri is there, or the other places are there to teach you. So we need good doctors in this country.
Sir,
don't you think that we need good doctors in this country? Everyone will become a civil servant. And from where will bring doctors?
Sir, during this pandemic, I'm also doing the COVID duty. But having said that, I think we need doctors in the country because the doctor-patient ratio is very low. But for that, we need structural reforms. So a very few number of people shifting their career would have impact, but that impact is not responsible for the skewed doctor-patient ratio in India.
Okay. Rajesh, what was Gandhi's view on medical profession? You have heard that he had written a very good book, Hind Swaraj.
Yes, sir.
You have heard about it?
Yes, sir.
And in that, he had criticized the modern civilization and two professions. One, the advocates, that is the lawyer, and the doctors.
Yes,
on what grounds doctors were criticized?
Sir, exactly I'm not aware about what grounds, but I am aware that Gandhiji used to practice traditional medicine, and that used to be, there was a focus on very low, the charges from the patient would be very low. It should not be very high charges. Maybe I think because the medical sciences, there is so much cost involved that poor section of society cannot access. Maybe because of that, Gandhiji.
Rajesh, it is being said that the doctors, they need to feel the pulse of the people. You need to feel the pulse of the people. But nowadays, the doctors are feeling the pulse of the people. How far such statements can be justified, if it is true or false?
Sir, I feel majority of the people go with a noble intention only. But there are certain bad apples. So because of that, whole of the profession
today, even if you do not touch the pulse, but you, first of all, you deposit the money. Minimum fees. So, if you don't need any ethical standards in medical profession.
Yes, sir. Ethics has a central role. The Hippocratic Oath itself guides the medical ethics. But I feel I would like to take the words of Honorable Chief Justice of India recently, when he said that the corporate greed, because corporate sector is emerging. So because of the corporate greed, this kind of situation is there. Doctors, the role of doctors in this would be very, maybe there are people who are indulging in such practices, but majority of the people go for noble, with the noble intention. Even during this pandemic, they have been praised by their...
So don't you think that there should be a minimum fee that should be said, that even in the private hospitals, this should be the fees, you should not charge more than this in the OPD? What reforms you need so that people will feel free to go to the private hospitals also? They will not have to sell their house or the gold.
Yes, sir. I think we have to regulate the sector in a better way. The Clinical Establishment Act, in order to regulate the sector, it is not being implemented by many states because health is a state subject. So we have to regulate the sector because there are the medical sector as such cannot be left to private forces because there is a huge information asymmetry between doctor and the patient, and then there are very limited number, so the chances of market failure are very high in medical profession. We have to regulate it. In fact, the recent economic survey also has talked about regulating the sector in a better way because the chances we cannot leave it entirely to the private forces.
Rajesh, the Supreme Court has given its verdict regarding euthanasia. But still we don't have a law on euthanasia by the government. Now, what is the stumbling block here? Why a law has not been made on euthanasia?
Sir, this is because there are two types of euthanasia, passive and active euthanasia. In India, there are high chances that there can be a misuse of active euthanasia because again
The court has talked about passive euthanasia only, clinical euthanasia.
Yes.
So,
Sir,
why a law is not being made? What can be the possible reasons?
Sir, plus there are certain ethical issues involved also. There is a debate whether euthanasia should be allowed or not in ethical terms.
The court has said yes. Court has said in the Aruna Sabha case, the Supreme Court has said yes. But the law has to be made by the state.
For the time being, the Supreme Court judgment would act as a law. So this has happened in Mishata guidelines also. So that is the law of the land. But there are, so in ethics, that is the law. But if we analyze the decision from ethical perspective, we have to take into consider multiple viewpoints of our countrymen also. So
as a doctor, what is your view on euthanasia?
Sir, my view is guided by the ethical norms given in Hippocratic Oath. So the non-malfeasance and beneficence. That is, my intention should be there to help the patient, and at the same time there should be no bad intention also. So I feel the passive euthanasia, if it is having, if there is so much pain, and in that case that can be allowed, but in other areas, so we have to take a considerate opinion. We have to look to the
Okay,
other
Rajesh.
side also.
What has been the most successful flagship programs of the government of India?
Sir, in my view, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is doing very good, and Beti Bachao Beti Padhao also doing very good in Haryana.
Out of two, you can just tell me one.
Sir, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan.
Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. How can you say that it is successful? We see you can say the dirty India everywhere.
Sir,
Where is the change?
Sir, first of all, the ODF status is improving. So there is an improvement. So not a complete 100% improvement is not there, but ODF status, open defecation, has been eliminated to a great extent from our country. Second aspect is
It is
the
on pen
cultural.
and paper or in reality?
Sir, there may be some.
If you want to know India, you can travel by train and you will see in the morning what happens in India. Open defecation is there on how it has been made free.
So, because I think because of the surveys that is done by external agency, Quality Council of India. Along with this, sir, in toilet construction is happening. At the same time, cultural changes are happening. Now, sanitation has become a mass movement. We can see in the movies, in the culture also, people using sanitation as a good virtue. So I feel that impact would
The
be
most
more
important thing is that it has created awareness among the masses.
Yes, yes.
The kids and the others, they have become aware. One question that I'd like to ask you, what is your biggest achievement till date?
Sir, during my internship, I was able to save a life of an old lady who was suffering from diabetic ketoacidosis. That was an emergency, and I managed it well. So I think that was my biggest achievement.
Okay. And your biggest regret?
Sir, I have not thought about regrets as of now.
Anything that you may have said, oh, this is my biggest regret, I should not have done this.
Sir, my handwriting is very poor, so I think
That is your biggest regret. Okay, thank you.
Rajesh, now we see that the Britain, it wants to renegotiate the Brexit deal, which had actually been finalized after so much of pain. Can you tell that why again Britain wants to renegotiate some parts of the Brexit deal?
Sir, I'm not exactly aware, but I can take with my the background knowledge. I can say that it is on account of, first is that the Brexit deal that was there that involved a financial layout from the UK itself. So
Okay.
maybe because of that it is there. And second is that during this pandemic, the global supply chains have changed. So maybe that would have impacted.
Okay, can you tell the specific area?
Sir, I'm not aware
Okay,
about it. I
so
will
it's with
look into it.
respect to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Okay, anyhow, Rajesh, we have seen that just recently the 15th Finance Commission had submitted its report, and much of the recommendations have been given for the different sectors. You being a medical professional, can you tell us that briefly what were the recommendations given for the health sector?
Sir, the performance with regard to the performance-based grants. So the on the basis of nutrition there is a provision for that. On the basis of nutritional outcomes of a particular state, that would be taken into consideration. Second aspect is that with regard to health, the devolution is more to the Panchayati Raj institution and urban local governments. So that is performance based only. So the more devolution would mean more resources at disposable of the local governments, which and the health is a very important subject for local governments. So,
Okay, so performance based grants, they entail on many of the parameters. Can you specifically tell the recommendations which are specific onto the health?
sir, I'm not aware about it. I will look into it.
Okay, you know any recommendation given particularly to create the All India Medical Health Services?
Yes, sir. There should be consideration of all India medical services. So that is there, I think.
Is it there?
Yes.
What is this All India Medical Health Services?
Sir, because previously there used to be, before independence, there used to be Indian medical services. However, after independence, that was abolished. So right now the state cadres, people appoint medical officers and the various.
What would be the status of this service? Would it be a central service, All India service? What would be the status?
So that would be, I think, all India service, all India medical service would be there.
Okay, Rajesh, nowadays we see that the Section 66A of the IT Act, it is being discussed so much, a kind of a new controversy has emerged. Can you tell us that why this Section 66A or what controversy is there nowadays?
Sir, this is to do with the fact that in Shreya Singhal case, Supreme Court struck down this section because it was vague and arbitrary and had chilling effect on free speech. But even after that, this is being used by the local authorities, local police authorities. So these cases are coming, and so because of that, again, it is in news.
So if let's suppose that you got selected and you are posted into the Indian Police Services, what reforms could be taken so that these kind of laws which have been struck down, they are not utilized or they are not invoked?
Sir, I will first of all focus on training of especially the policemen at the ground level who are implementing these laws, the investigating officers. Second would be that the training should be there. Second is that any changes that are happening, so that would be communicated to the last mile. So all the the thanas would be getting the copy. Third would be we can use NGOs in order to spread awareness to the. So that would be mostly focusing on educating the.
Okay, Rajesh, sorry I'm interrupting you. Are these things not being communicated now?
Sir, because the country is so vast, so I think there are challenges in communication, and because of that, the communication is not reaching to the police people at the grassroots level. So those people who are implementing it, so at some places they are not reaching.
Okay, what else?
And there is a need of a wider police reforms, because in India, multiple commissions have said that there is a politician, police, businessman nexus is there. So we have to reform our police, and that is very much needed.
Okay, could there be some technical solutions also into this respect?
Sir, we can develop some in-house technology software, something like that, so that all the FIRs are registered online, and if we can use AI so that we can detect.
But such system is already there, CCTNS.
But that can be improved by incorporating artificial intelligence, so that any section which has been struck down can be detected, and the concern be raised at the local level. See, Section 66 AIT.
You know about the CCTNS platform?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what it is?
Sir, crime controls, and sir, I think it is a part of Digital India program in order to use the technology technology platforms to improve the efficiency of our police system.
Okay, anything more?
There would be also a database that is being created so that intelligence sharing can happen.
Okay, intelligence sharing, such kind of things. Okay, read on it. Rajesh, recently India and more than 129 countries, they have signed the twin pillar agreements. It is a kind of a very ambitious thing that has happened. Can you tell us that what are these twin pillar agreements that have been signed?
Sir, I'm not aware about it, and we'll look into it, sir.
Okay, Rajesh, few days back, Arunachal Pradesh government, it issued a notification where it said that the people who have not been vaccinated, they will not be given an entry into the state. Okay, do you believe that such kind of notifications, such kind of decisions, they hold some kind of scientific merit?
Sir, in this aspect, during a pandemic, this kind of decision may be justified to some extent, but not in otherwise circumstances. That vaccination, in fact, in a case which went to Supreme Court also, so this is debatable that during pandemic these restrictions can be imposed, but otherwise there should not be such kind of.
Okay, how they can be justified? Because there is no evidence that the people who had been vaccinated, they cannot get infected. There is no evidence that they cannot be the spreaders. So how you are saying that on scientific grounds they could be accepted?
Sir, because if a person is vaccinated, so there are efficiency of vaccine, say 80% efficacy is there. So that much prevention is there. Second is that in that aspect, the health of not only that person, but health of other is also involved. So it is not an individual decision during a pandemic, because if a person goes without vaccinating, so under scientific reasons, he can be a potential spreader. The case of breakthrough infections that happen after vaccination, also infection happening, that is very minuscule. And even if that happens, that is not a serious case, serious infection.
Okay, but the Honorable Supreme Court has also quashed this decision. It has said that there is no merit into this.
So because the interstate movement, the right to life of persons is involved, there is a legal angle of rights of citizens, that we have to balance the science and the rights of citizens.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh.